Hi, you're listening to Boggy Talk, Faith Conversations in the Mud, a resource of Church on Bayshore. Boggy Talk is recorded on Boggy Bayou in Niceville, Florida, and is hosted by Justin Wyatt and James Ross, pastors at Church on Bayshore. We typically want every matter of faith and life to have crystal clear answers, but it isn't always that easy. This podcast digs in to help Christians think with a kingdom mentality about topics that sometimes get muddy and bog us down. So let's dive in.
Hey, and welcome to Boggy Talk. Hope you are doing great in the middle of December Christmas craziness. How you doing, James?
I am good. It is crazy.
Basketball,
holiday parties.
Stuff going on all the time. Yeah,
Wow.
we tried to sync our calendars like Christy and I did, and we were like, oh, we're just going to basically have to do this day by day and just be like, what's today? Because it gets too many, there's so many logistics.
We are blessed, right?
Yes. It is
highly favored.
Yeah, because like last year in 2020, it was we thought COVID was dying down, and then it spiked again in December. Yeah. So a lot of stuff got canceled again.
It was slow, yeah.
And I feel like everyone this year is just like, we are making up for it for 2 years of not Christmas stuff, and it's everything.
Dude, I'm going to the gym still and exercising, but it's just to.
It's to keep it off.
It's not even to keep it off. It's to not let it get too crazy.
It's a preemptive strike. Yeah, I understand. Yes.
Yeah, it's tough.
And it's so hard. The mornings have been cold, which is normally when I exercise. I'm like, I just don't want to, of course, it's relative in Florida that it's cold, but I'm like, it's 40 degrees. I can't.
I know. And it's I feel entitled to so I drink my coffee black, because I don't want to add any calories, but I'm like, it's the holidays. I
deserve
put some peppermint mocha creamer.
You deserve some
here.
Peppermint mocha, some gingerbread snap. You like gingerbread? That's kind of gross to me, but
that sounds
coffee.
terrible.
But I don't drink flavored coffee, so.
But no, I mean it's really I guess this kind of gets us into what we're talking about. I feel like this entitlement this time of the year.
Yeah,
we
deserve this, especially
mocha.
After the past few years of COVID, and we deserve some Christmas
we have really
celebration.
suffered in comfortable houses.
That's right. It's been rough, but so we're kidding. No, we're not. We're continuing in our series, making fun of Christmas, kind of poking fun, and also, how do we have fun at this time?
True.
And today we're talking about presents. Everyone loves presents.
That's true.
Everyone loves good presents.
Yes, that's a good point.
There's some pressure, the obligatory white elephant exchange that happens every Christmas party you go to, and you're like, oh, I got to find something, and but
it gets out of hand when you have these many Christmas parties. I just start recycling.
You're like, I got this one here, I can take it to the next party, especially if it's something you don't want. We may have done that before with
What's the worst gift you've ever gotten?
The worst gift I ever got. I would say, how about the most disappointing gift?
Okay. Ooh,
so
this is getting serious.
Worst gift. I haven't gotten a gift. I was just like, what in the world?
Okay.
But and this is really much more about my own selfish nature than it is
that's why
the
I
giver.
asked.
So I remember at one point, I don't remember how old I was, but as you become a teenager, you're kind of transitioning out from Christmas being you get all these toys, and you're getting at least my parents were you get a lot more practical gift, which is great. I remember one year I got this, what Santa brought was a coat. And I remember being oh.
Yeah.
And I remember trying really hard not to let my face show that I was disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember my dad was he's gonna, and I was like, no, it's great. I needed a coat. It was a nice, heavy winter coat. And that was at the time disappointing. Now I'd be like, yeah, that's great.
You're I'm in a play where I'm pretending like I'm a Wall Street broker,
right.
so I needed this.
I needed that.
My oldest is really, he's really sweet. So he tries his hardest to keep that face from revealing how disappointed he is in gifts, but you could see it.
You could
grandparent stuff. I had a granny who. She gave us great gifts, but she always got us clothes we wanted, but she would always get us the wrong sizes.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be gift receipt, so you were just stuck with it. So I was wearing schmediums, if I wore that.
I do remember that with my one of my grandmas, she would always buy us a shirt or something, and you had to get to that point where you actually start caring a little bit more about what you wear. And I remember distinctly, and maybe this was when my mom maybe told her hey, just get them money, because I remember one Christmas opening it and being like, oh, I'll never wear this. And so I went in the bathroom and pretended to try it on and then came out and just said, it doesn't fit. We need to return it. So grandma, she's up in heaven now. And
well, what about best or most memorable gift you were ever given?
Oh, so as a kid, this will date myself. And this is probably
Easy bake oven.
That's right. Yeah. I was so excited. I could finally bake my own brownies.
Yeah.
Man, my brothers and I, my older brother and I, were very into G.I. Joe.
Okay.
And the year
Real American hero.
The aircraft carrier came out, the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
Okay.
This thing was like, it was the hard to get like item at Christmas. And it was, they marketed this thing because it was like in a G.I. Joe movie and it was 6 feet long. And that's like, it's 6 feet long, and my parents somehow like pulled that off and got that. And I remember at the time it was like thinking as a kid, man, that cost $100. They'll never get that for Christmas. Cause like the $100, when we were a kid is like, that'd be like 400 now, like there's no way they're going to do that. And then they did.
Big ball of David White.
And we lost our minds. Like it was insane. And what's funny is that.
Listen to this?
I doubt it. My mom does occasionally.
Okay.
Maybe now that we're talking about him, she'll be like, you can listen to it. But what's funny is my parents still have this aircraft carrier in their basement. Because my mom like kept toys, like thinking about grandkids. And so they still have it in a million little pieces.
I lived in Florida.
I wish we had Can I get a basement for Christmas?
There you go. There's some neighborhoods in Niceville.
There's a few.
Yeah.
Well, what about you?
Most memorable is I wanted a Super Nintendo, not Nintendo 60, Super Nintendo so bad when I was like 10. And there's actually video of me like dancing. The ironic thing is,
I think we need to see this video, James.
I don't know where it is now, but
I bet your mom has it.
The ironic thing is, this is how obnoxious I was. We were actually this was Christmas in Illinois with my grandparents, so like all the cousins were there and all this, and I'm like dancing across like and they're like the room, and they're like shut up, and I hooked it up right away. What is the best gift you've ever given to someone?
Really, the gift of myself.
Oh, goodness.
Just kidding. That's terrible. Best gift I've ever given. So Christy would agree that she's not necessarily the thoughtful gift giver, and I usually am. And I like to put thought into it and think about, this is what they're like. I would say recently, probably one of the best gifts I've given was to our family. This was probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. We found, I have a picture of my grandpa when he was serving in World War II. And it's a picture of him behind the cannon that he operated. And I took a picture of it. And Christy's dad, when he was alive, did all kinds of art. So I had him take the picture of it and then do a drawing of it, like a pencil drawing. And then I got that.
And put it on the aircraft carrier.
The aircraft carrier. So then I got that, and I made copies, made prints of that, and had it framed and gave that to my dad and both my brothers for Christmas. And what was even better is Christy's dad was so amazing. He actually did one of those YouTube time lapse videos where it's him drawing it, and then he edited the video and set it to I forget what song, but a patriotic song, and then it put the whole text of my grandpa and so. I like to make people cry with gifts. And so literally so we showed that, presented that to my dad, and then it's but this is a gift. And then we watched the video, and everyone's just weeping on Christmas Day. I was that was a good gift.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I like to be dramatic with.
Yeah. I can see that. You basically led Yeah.
Cool. So what about you? Best gift you've given.
I think when Christy and I were poorer. We were poor, and we had just had 3 kids, and
man,
we our friends. So we were playing at a church. It's kind of hard to make friends when you're playing at a church. And Christy had become really good friends with this one woman, whatever you call people our age. But they had moved, military, and I bought her a plane ticket to go and see her friend.
That's
and
good.
She cried.
Yeah.
So anyway, Yeah. Remember when you were that appreciative, Christy, of the little things? Anyway,
all the little things. She's like, I don't have time to be appreciative of the little things.
Yeah, for sure. But
Also one of the worst gifts I've given that it wasn't an intentional worst gift was I gave Christy some stuff. Like I just bought a bunch of stuff from the body shop because I was like, she's just so low maintenance and never like pampers herself. So I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I just bought a bunch of stuff. And I didn't realize.
Like a car body shop? Like an auto body shop?
That's right. I was like, you're going to like these rims on your Ford Transit. And one of the things that I bought didn't read the full label. It was like anti-aging serum or whatever. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that. I was not trying to do that, but she still used it and liked it, and she was like, oh, I see what you're saying, and that's kind of like like gift giving now in our culture because everything can be offensive because like people are like, oh, you gave me a candle. Do you think that my house smells? You gave me cologne. Like, are you trying to say that I stink or? I gave me this exercise gear. You trying to say I'm not? Yeah. Gift giving is a little more complicated.
It's very so. Christy, Mike, Ross. I don't give gifts, Christy Wyatt. I mean, I would, but
that's my job.
That's right. So I usually give her 7 things because there's 7 or 6 or how many ever people were in our house at that time. She returns probably 5 out of 7. Seriously, I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting you stuff, so anyway.
I tried.
So. We have big families, so I was curious kind of what is your mentality about Christmas and gifts? Because, it could get expensive, get out of hand, those kind of things.
Yeah, so we budget throughout the year. And we don't typically do lots of gifts throughout the year, like just stuff like they get a birthday present and then we do Christmas. And we try to keep it pretty even. And we tell the kids like, hey, somebody might have more presents than you, but it's basically the same amount. But we also do Christmas presents like for our extended family, like my parents, brothers, in-laws, nieces, nephews. And so we do that, and we don't have, but we also like to do that because it's fun. So we just try to be simple. We try to keep it like, we do a Christmas pajamas, but then like something useful, something fun. There's different methods. Some people do like you get 3 things because there were 3 gifts presented to Jesus, and we tried that and we just couldn't stick to it. And
because
that's okay.
The hermeneutics of that might not be
that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
There may have been more gifts. So we just really try to keep it simple. We keep a budget. We stick to the budget, and then we keep a spreadsheet. Or a chart of like making sure that we've kept it even because that is important when you have a lot of kids, because they pick up on it.
What if you gave your kids gold, frankincense, and myrrh? And we're like, that's what Jesus got.
And they would be so disappointed.
Wasn't it gold, frankincense, and myrrh?
Yeah, those are the 3.
Is it gold?
Gold.
No.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't. That's too expensive.
Yeah.
We kind of say, hey, here's about $1 amount. We try to kind of get things off of the kids' list. And, some of them are bougier, so they get less gifts because they,
they want
especially
something
as they
more.
get old. Yeah. I guess I would be curious, for us, I kind of know what we do, but how do you guys in America, probably not just in America, but in America specifically, it certainly, this is about Jesus, right? This is about his presence, not about our presence. Right. But it's easy for your family to be very much focused on the presents they're getting, especially kids. So how do you guys keep it from becoming that?
We try to instill gratitude in it all. So one of the things like that is important to me when we're opening gifts is that it is not a free for all at our house. Like I'm like, we're going to watch people open their gifts because like, this is a big deal. We don't do this all the time. Yeah. So we're going to we want to see like people's thoughtfulness. We want to say, like gratitude for it. So we're not just like everyone open at the same time. Like let's take turns because like it's important. Like we're going to give value there. We try to make the connection, we give gifts as an expression of God's of love because God loves. So the traditions that we have is a family like
you recite the catechism after each.
That's right. You're like, and now say you're thankful. And just really trying to be intentional about the conversations we have. We like the kids will buy gifts I will make them, but they will buy gifts for each other and they have to use their money because it's like, they can't just tell us what they want us to get and then it's from them. Like, no, like love is sacrificial. And so we want to do that for each other. And, you know, just in conversation, we just try to tie it back to Jesus and his love for us.
Yeah.
And we truly don't go overboard because, you know, like, I mean, God's love is extravagant. Our budget is not extravagant. So
that's good.
You know, but I think our kids are kind of used to that. So they know like, hey, this is a big deal that we're getting presents.
If only you would be in a more charismatic church, then you could.
I know. Yeah. Especially
our budget's extravagant because his love is extravagant.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, well, how I keep my kids centered is I make sure that I get the best gifts because our Father deserves the best.
He deserves the best. So,
yeah.
and then you make them like present the gift to you and bow down before you.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
And then I'm like, hey, your top most expensive gifts on your list is actually an idol, so you can't have that.
That's right. You eliminate.
But we're going to spend that money on me getting Jordans.
That's right.
So anyway, no,
guilt works too. I mean, you're like, you want that, but think of other kids who can't have that. So we're just gonna, so you're just not gonna have it.
Yeah.
It's funny to me that when people say stuff like that, though, they're usually not like giving that.
I know.
They're usually
right?
like, think about the children who don't have this. But like, okay, so are you actually like giving to that?
Yeah,
probably
I know.
Probably not.
Yeah, not always. You know. Yeah. Anyway, I think what helps. You said it, and I think is it's not a free for all. We go one at a time. And when we do Christmas morning with our family, we try to do that with the grandparents too, when they bring their gifts. Like
it's harder with grandparents.
Yeah,
because grandparents want to just do their thing.
Yeah,
which is
I know. Yeah, it's their money. They spend it. Yeah, but yeah, it's just so interesting how so I was thinking about it last week, and not everybody's thinks about this as consciously as I do, and I could kind of be critical, but it's interesting that so Thanksgiving happens, right? Yeah. We're grateful, praise Jesus for turkey and all that stuff, and then stuffing.
Immediately,
praise Jesus for all that turkey and all that stuff, and then immediately we do Black Friday, right?
Yeah.
Let's get our deals out in public.
Okay, but here's the thing. So here's the thing. Even this year, Black Friday started early and we're programmed for this, and retailers advertise this as we're going to be so generous to our employees and give them Thanksgiving off. So we're going to extend Black Friday to the week before Thanksgiving.
Oh, did they do that?
Yeah, it was.
See,
So it's just, but it's all marketing. They want to appear generous. So anyway, I interrupted your thought.
No,
Black Friday.
Yeah, that's good interruption, Justin. What I thought was, so Black Friday,
thankful, go buy stuff.
And then it's okay, now let's not forget the small businesses, right? On Saturday, right? Who may or may not offer that good of a deal, but we should feel obligated because they're small businesses. And I do. Thank you very much for your work. Yeah, and you're employing. And then Sunday, I don't know what we do. And then Monday, Cyber Monday, right? And then if you have any money left over, Giving Tuesday. Yeah. And it's I really feel like that is an illustration of how our world and specifically even believers approach generosity. It's let's make sure we get
what we need.
We need. Then let's, be good citizens.
And then also get what we want.
Saturday. Yeah. And then if we have anything left over, we'll give to a few things. And, generosity should be the first thing on our minds. Truly anytime, by God's grace, we have received a bump in income or we've received some unexpected money. My first question is, Lord, what do you want me to do with this to help someone else or to help, and really I just feel what Christmas has become is not man, Jesus had gave, so we need to be thinking about how we can be generous people first. But it's how can we feel better and get more stuff? Then, oh yeah, I also should probably go to church on Christmas Eve and give a little money to the benevolent offering,
Yeah. I think we have to realize just how programmed we are for this. One, we're wired to be, not by God, sin has wired us to be selfish.
Yeah.
And all this plays into our selfish, nature to be hey, I need more stuff. I want more stuff and I need it and I need it and I need. And we need to say, hey, I don't need, I want, we try to help our kids in that. And I have to remind myself of that. I need this. Well, you want that. There's sometimes there's a legitimate need. oldest's grown a lot in the past year, so he legitimately needs some new pants because they're like like capris on him now. So
isn't that in style though?
Maybe I have no idea.
Maybe not in Niceville. Maybe not in Niceville.
But we're just programmed for this, and then it's just constantly fed to us. We need this. We need this. And now, like you said, now that you've met your needs and got everything you want, give a little bit. And I think a lot of times that giving is not from a place of generosity. It's a place of obligation. Well, okay, I have a lot, so maybe I should give. And it's I think for a lot of people, Christians and non-Christians, our giving can be to alleviate guilt rather than to truly be generous. Mm-hmm. And we've got to fight against that and just say, like, this is my first priority, to be generous. Let me look out. Yes, we do. We are called to meet needs of our families, but then we also need to be looking out to meet needs of other people and to see how can we truly be generous. And as a Christian, ultimately, like, so that the kingdom of God is advanced.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was thinking so we just recently bought iPhones, and mainly because we have kids in middle school and communication and all that.
So what you should do is take those boxes and then wrap up some random gift and use it. They'll be like, I'm getting another. And then
that's a great point.
They'll be so disappointed.
So we don't do new phones that often. Mm-hmm. So I think Chrissy and I did like iPhone 4s, then iPhone 8s, and then iPhone 13s. And that's basically covering about 10 years of my life right there. So, and we literally just got the 13s, and we got a good deal. But they were like, hey, I was kind of shopping around. It was like with us, you pay X amount a month and you get to upgrade your phone whenever. And I'm like, wait, that's a lot of money a month. And they're like, yeah, but you could upgrade your phone. I'm like every year or two. I'm like, but why? Like, what's the incentive there? And it was like, it was so crazy to me that so many people feel like if there's a new iPhone, I need to get it. Like, I need that new iPhone. And I'm like, unless you're like the Wolf of Wall Street, which is terrible reference. Please don't go see that movie. But like, what are you doing? What is your life like that you necessitate that camera upgrade? And like, seriously, like, why do you need? And I'm not saying that don't spend excessive amounts on things I shouldn't, but it's just interesting that's like, I don't even think so many people are realizing that they're being programmed to think like, if there's a new phone, I need it. And to me, that's foreign at this point, just because of good stewardship. Like, why would I, do that? Like, even when we were buying our vehicle, it's like, okay, but your payment will only be this much. I'm like, yeah, but you're paying more for the car. They're like, yeah, but your payment. I'm like, but I plan on having this car for 10, 15 years. Like, it's just amazing how many people are programmed because they feel like, I need a new car every 5 years. I need whatever. And I've just always been amazed that like, then the same people will be like, well, we can't adopt because, that costs $20,000 to $40,000. I'm like, do you get a new car every 5 years?
Yeah.
Do you upgrade your phone every 2 years? Like, and I'm not mad at you. But like, just look at how we're conformed to the world when it comes to the material things.
Yeah, that illustration. A few years ago, I used this illustration talking on Orphan Sunday, and it applies to so many other things. But if when people say that, like, hey, we're going to do this and it's going to cost like this kingdom cause, like we're going to adopt it, it's going to cost this much. People are like, wow, that's crazy. How are you going to do that? But then if like somebody rolls in a live stream like, hey, I got a new car this week, and we're like, oh, that's awesome. Like
I don't say that to people, by the way.
but people
that's cool if you need a new car. Yeah,
I don't. But people do. They're like, "That's great," and no one's like, "How are you paying for that?" But that's the question we ask.
They ask us that because we're pastors. Well,
very true. Oh wow, they shouldn't. That's another. That's
you're
the salty Boggy talk.
Nissan 12 passenger van. How'd you?
Like,
nobody asked about that.
Wow, that 2007 Ford Expedition is pretty.
It was balling at one point.
Yeah, not when I bought it. But it's like that's a sign of like, we will do this even with Christmas, like with our gifts. We're like, that's awesome. And there's nothing wrong with like gifts. And like that is an expression of God's love. And it's a beautiful thing. But we also do need to say like, but where's our heart in it? Yeah. Like, is this the value? Is this what we treasure most?
Yeah. And we've said before on here, and I say this a lot, like, we don't know where the line is on some of these things, but I think it's okay to realize or ask yourself, like, but have I crossed it? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I don't know where the line was, and I'm not going to be legalistic about the line, but we clearly have crossed it in our house, you know, like.
It really is it's a learned discipline over time, the discipline of simplicity, you know, like try not being cheap for cheap's sake, but like saying, how can I live simply
Right.
so that I can leverage more for the kingdom?
Like
and,
how I have a hoodie that doesn't have a logo, and you have a hoodie that has a bougie Under
I do.
Armour
I
logo.
have an under. You can see it's so old. It's like the crowd art. It's like the logo's cracked on here. This was a Christmas gift from my parents. So thanks a lot, man.
Baller David Wyatt.
About 6 years ago, too.
Aircraft carrier, Under Armour.
But you know, it is. It's the discipline of simplicity.
Yeah.
And you know, how can we do this? And I think so. Something we've done over the past month. Christy got this idea. I think it's a great idea. She saw something about the challenge to get rid of 1,000 things, and so we've just been going through stuff like what do we have that we don't need? 1,000 things. And you know, so
Legos,
we have
done. Check.
I have vacuumed up and swept up and thrown away 1,000 Legos.
I'm pretty sure I have Legos absorbed into my skin somewhere.
They're grafted in.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that will kind of like drive you to live more simply than realizing, wow, it's actually pretty easy to go through, you know, and like whether it's clothes that our kids are outgrown, or just stuff that we don't use, or stuff that's been given to us that's been sitting, like, hey, let's purposely be simple. And then that's very telling. Hey, then you're going through stuff and you're like, hey, we actually don't need that. It looks cool, but we don't need it. So,
you know, Paul said in 1 Timothy 6 that godliness with contentment is great gain. And I really think a lot of this all comes down to that. And I think, you know, when we approach Christmas, it's just like, you know, hey, God has blessed us so much, most of us in our context, you know, and even if you live in America and you don't have much, there's so many people who feel guilty to give you a good Christmas that you can get stuff for Christmas. So like we are all very blessed in that regard. And so like first realize that, let's be a blessing and, you know, share, and then realize, okay, we don't need anything. So we're just giving each other some gifts to show each other our love. We're not going to be excessive, and we're going to be grateful. And in our house, if you're not going to be grateful, then dude, you don't have to get anything for Christmas. Seriously, you know, like anyway.
Yeah. It comes back for like, it's our heart. I mean, so much this just comes back to the heart. And so, you know, give gifts, be loving, extravagant, all those things, but ultimately in all, be generous and to the Lord.
Hey, is there anything you ever didn't get for Christmas that you really wanted when you were younger?
Oh, that's a good question. Man, I guess I don't know.
Easy bake oven.
Yeah.
That's why you dismissed it earlier.
Yeah, I just really wanted that. You know, I have to think about it. I don't think so.
That's good.
Like,
Me
I don't
either.
know.
I'm
like,
sure I was a brat about things when I was
I'm
younger.
sure too. Like with the coat, I probably wanted something else that my parents, you know.
Yeah.
I'm notorious about this. I'm like, I have things that I want, but I want people to read my mind and know, because I think because I like to like figure stuff out. Like they would probably like this, and so and some people just aren't wired that way. So
I just remember one year I wanted something and I was given money, but instead I bought these shoes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you know, as we wrap up this talk on presents, we'll leave you with this profound thought that is very original and no one has ever said. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery, but today's a gift. And that's why they call it the present.
The turtle said that on Kung Fu Panda.
That's right. So, hey, you know, the best thing, you just be present.
That's
present.
Right.
Be in the moment. And, you know,
Truly.
I think that, honestly, when you look back, I think about my favorite things about Christmas, looking back as a child, like the presents are great, but it really is like,
the best gift you can give people is yourself.
Is yourself.
As long as yourself isn't a jerk.
So you just don't be a jerk, be present, and Merry Christmas. Hey, join us.
I was going to say, we got one more, right?
We got one more. So join us next week as we make fun of traditions. That'll be because that's when people get a little testy. You know, like that's, you know, this is. So anyway, join us next week. And hey, in all the Christmas chaos, just remember, you know, Jesus is the reason for the season.
Good one. Good one.
There you go. All right. Leaving on that one. Boom.
Thanks for listening to Boggy Talk. We are so glad you joined in the conversation. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a beat.